So now we're going to take a look at how the matrix can be used by direct leaders and by lateral leaders. So Joanna, I might ask you first to tell us, how can a direct leader utilize Eisenhower's matrix?
So first of all, you have to learn how to use it yourself. And the first step is fill it out for yourself. Take maybe 1 hour, look at your calendar, look at your email, look at the way you organize your day, your week, your month, and fill it out for yourself. Then the second step is to go to your boss and say, look, boss, this is what I'm working on. What do you think? Let's look at our objectives. Let's look at my objectives, at your objectives, and let's try to align.
If I can just jump in there, Joanna, that's critical. There are so many organizations where the alignment between our participants and their bosses is non-existent. Yeah, there are so many situations where managing upwards, leading your boss, is a topic. How do I get my boss to understand where we're going and what we're doing? And so this process, the one that you've just described, can be quite a sensitive one, but is a massively important one to make sure that your messages to your team are described in a way that where you can say with confidence, these objectives are aligned with those of the organization.
Yeah. So moving into the third step is explaining it to your people. So get your people in a room, talk about this concept, show them your time management matrix, and tell them, this is what I'm focusing on. This is based on our objectives, and get them to fill it out for themselves. Get them to look at their time, to look how they spend their time, put it down on paper. That sometimes can be very helpful for people to actually see what they're doing. And then the last one is a one-on-one discussion with your people. Look at their metrics, look at your metrics together, align their objectives with yours and your objectives with theirs. And that causes or creates a sort of common goal. Yeah. So you can create common goals for you and your team. Make sure when you work or when you activate within your team to follow, to have that in mind. Now, Tim, this is the way a direct lead would use it. A direct leader would make sure that they align with their boss, with their team, and have it in the back of their mind at all times. How would a lateral lead use this matrix?
So once again, here we differentiate between a direct leader, the person who's responsible for the people, and a lateral leader, the person who's responsible for the development of the product. And so within that context, the lateral leader is going to be the person who decides what criteria we use for deciding on importance and urgency. So the link between the lateral leader and the direct leaders for this particular case is fundamentally important. Some people may be viewing this and saying, what is all of this stuff with direct and lateral? We don't have this where we work. And most organizations do not differentiate between those two roles. Most organizations simply have leaders, and they do both the lateral product or process part and the direct part as well. So for them, they're kind of that leader. Those two different types of leadership are in the one person. So you have to do everything, which means you're setting the criteria and communicating it and helping people working towards it. I know I said that we would bring this in slightly later, but it does actually fit here, and you were right about that. There is a concept which is very often used in big organizations called management by objectives. This is a big system, normally represented by computer processes which set objectives at a top level and then cascade those objectives through the organization. There is a programming software called Jira, which you can see a line of code, and then you can backtrack on that line of code all the way up to the objectives, the business objectives that that line of code supports. There is a larger program called Objectives and Key Results, OKRs, which sets objectives at a very high level and then starts identifying what key results do we need to achieve in order to fulfill those objectives? So it takes it from top management all the way through the organization so that everybody can see how their work fits in with the goals of the organization. But at a very simple level, there is a to-do list which supports specific objectives. And this is the way that, I like to think about Eisenhower's matrix, is that it simply represents the discussion within a team. How do we manage time? How do we prioritize our time? How do we decide what's important? And how do we develop our acumen of time management and prioritization skills within this team? So what you described there was a great way of a leader doing this. Fill it in for yourself, communicate it up, explain it to your people, communicate it down, have one-to-ones with your people on how they manage their time.